Welcome back to the Tier 1 podcast. I am your host, Brent Tucker, owner of FRCC. Go to frcc.shop and use promo code Tier1 to get 15% off the world's best coffee, cigars, and bourbon.
And I'm Drew Tucker, giving away prizes at frcc.shop for monthly drop supply customers. So get started this month and you'll be entered to win monthly prizes every month. Also, here at the Tier 1 podcast, join our Patreon, brought to you by Cobalt Kinetics. We've got a fitness forum. We got a gun forum. We've got behind-the-scenes exclusive content only for our Patreon members. And there's a Cobalt Kinetics weapons expert ready to answer all your gun questions in our Patreon.
Speaking of Patreon, Drew, next month we're giving away a set of panos. So how about that for a little bonus?
Just giving it away, Brent?
Just giving it away.
Dang.
Giving it away. Not a smart business move, but that's okay. It's good for the Patreon members.
It's a good business. It's a good move.
And as always, this episode is brought to you by Human Performance TRT. Go to hp-trt.com and use promo code Tier1 to get 20% off your testosterone and peptide needs. Don't wait any longer to get in the best shape of your life. Let's do it, Drew.
4 new Special Forces ready.
Welcome to the Tier 1 podcast.
This is amazing, dude. Check this out, right?
And with us today, we have Sergeant Major retired Travis Horning. Served with the 5th Special Forces Group. Spent 22 years in the Army, 15 years of that at 5th Group, the Legion, if you will, and I think you will. Served in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. I can vouch for his Syria experience. We were there together at the same time. That's how I know him. Had a great time there. And if that wasn't enough, between his 3 different combat tours and other places, dangerous, high-risk places throughout the world, Yemen, you're also one of the few people I know that have the true Tower of Power, Special Forces tab, Ranger tab, and Sapper tab.
That's correct.
Welcome to the show. Actually, I got something for you. There's some creatine gummies from Tasty Gains.
Heck yeah.
And a gift from Cloud Defense.
Everyone needs a light.
Everyone needs a light. I saw a picture of your gun safe, and there's no way you have a light for every one of those guns.
That is correct.
That is an arsenal.
Thanks, Brett. I appreciate this.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into it. I've been waiting for you to retire, so you can come down and hang out with me first and foremost. But again, as I mentioned, we met in Syria when I was working there, and you were with the Jedberg teams. And I had known that SF had created those teams. I didn't know much about them. I don't think really anyone outside SF did. I'd almost say there's some ODAs within SF that didn't really know what Jedberg's teams did for a while. I really wanted you to come on here and shed light on that niche part of SF, because you guys couldn't have been any more impressive. And I truly mean that. Me and Anders talked about it while you guys were there. We talked about it after we left. Whatever 5th Group Jedburgh teams were doing and how they put teams together, they were doing something right.
No, I appreciate that.
So before we get into your era of the Jedbergs, most people I shouldn't say most, but some people have probably heard of Jedburgh teams, and it dates back to World War II. I really wanted to throw some history in there and talk about where the Jedbergs came from, and then it will shed some light on the similarities and differences of what they do now, or why we brought them back. So let's get into that.
Yeah, so just like really now all special operations and specifically special forces, it all started with the OSS, which was started in 1942, leading up to World War II. In 1943, they created the Jedberg teams, which was an allied team concept. It was 3-man teams consisting of 1 American, 1 British, and 1 French. It was specifically allied so that it made it easier once they infilled into the country, into France. They started training in 1943 and were trained on numerous things, guerrilla warfare, cryptography, hand-to-hand combat, sabotage, espionage, a plethora of things. Because their job was to deploy behind enemy lines and organize the resistance fighters within France.
How they were small teams, weren't they? How big were the teams?
Yeah, each team was 3-man teams, and I believe in total there was 93 teams that were employed during World War II.
3-man teams. I mean, they're small teams, and we've worked in small teams. There are times we worked, when we were on ODAs, and we felt like 12 men was not enough to do the job. 3-man teams behind enemy lines is insane. Like the amount of responsibilities, the amount of cross training that has to happen. There's a reason, and be effective. It's one thing to have a 3-man team. It's another thing to be a 3-man team and effective. It's incredible what those guys did.
Yes, they pioneered unconventional warfare.
Yeah, they really did. SF now has it's mandatory. Everyone has to speak a foreign language. And do you think that has to do? I didn't really think about it really until right now. I think the origin of that had to do with the Jedberg teams and their ability to have to speak different languages.
I believe so, just because of the nature of the country they were going into, and they were linking up with French-speaking resistance fighters, which is why they included. It was an allied team construct.
Yeah, you don't have room for an interpreter. It's 3-man teams. You better know it all and be able to do it all, and that they did. It's another reason why being airborne was such a key part of special operations, because of where there was no other way to get there except to jump in. Could you imagine jumping in the way those guys jumped in, where they jumped in, with the technology, or should I say lack of technology, that they had? It's just crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
You don't have just to paint a picture for people, because sometimes I think when you hear stories of what amazing men did in the past, it's almost hard to conceptualize it because you didn't live in that time period, and so you're just used to things being easy. No such thing as GPS. No such thing as satellite communication. There's no cell phones. Just the link up procedures, landing in the right place, getting a window to land in the right time, and make sure those guys know to be in the right place at the right time, and have 2 people who have never seen each other and are fighting a vicious enemy meet up is just, that alone is crazy.
That's the most dangerous part.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I'll never forget in phase 2, where we're into small unit tactics, them talking about in small unit tactics, one of the most dangerous thing you can do is friendly link up. Mm-hmm. This is a great example of one of the most dangerous things you could do is friendly link up. They had to be a little nervous meeting these guys.
Well, and as you know, as many teams that jumped in, not all of them landed where they needed to land. Mm-mm. And it took them longer to get to link up with their partner force.
Yeah. And now you've missed the right time, right place, which is the very beginning of it. They don't know what you look like. No one sent a picture to them.
Yeah.
You know? And so now you're outside of that window. That makes a already risky link up very risky.
Yep. And everybody's on edge. Nobody trusts anybody.
Right. It's well known that those Jedburgh teams were so effective that even though they jumped in uniform, because they did that to stay within Geneva standards, correct?
Correct.
They jumped in uniform so they didn't get that spy status and would be protected. The Nazis still would kill them on site if they could find a Jedburgh.
Yeah, they did. We were playing by the rules, but as you know, the enemy doesn't.
The bad guy rarely does for some reason, and yet we're always painted as the bad guy to certain people, which always blows my mind. Yeah, we're the only ones that plays by the rules. It's just it. I read somewhere, and this is again, don't let these numbers fool you. Of the 300, almost 300 men that participated in Operation Jedburgh, not many of them died. Do you remember the count on that?
From what I've read, it was roughly 17 or so.
That sounds about right. I thought it was less than 20. That's crazy.
Insane.
Because it was such a risky mission.
But it also goes to how effective they were. They essentially trained for about a year straight leading up to this in various locations around the world because they knew it was going to be very dangerous.
Yeah. They played a huge role into the Normandy invasion as well, did they not?
Yes, and that was really their overall objective, was to prepare for D-Day and prepare the environment to make that successful. Had those teams not been as effective as they were, I don't think we would have made it past D-Day.
Yeah. That's another really interesting part of history that gets forgotten about. They get a lot of credit, as they should, for the disruption and what they did with the French resistance forces. But I don't think I ever hear historians, documentaries talk about the Jedbergs' role in D-Day.
Yeah. I mean, they were there prior to D-Day, and their job was to sabotage railways, bridges, German logistics lines, everything they could do to slow down reinforcements getting, because they knew it was coming.
Yep.
So they were all moving that direction. And it was the Jedbergs' job to organize the resistance and through force multiplication provide the damage that needed to be done to make it successful.
Which goes back to how interesting D-Day was. It was such a well-planned out invasion. I mean, how do you hide that? Because it was a massive, massive force going in, and just everything worked out well for them. A little bit of luck, a little bit of good planning, but no massive operation goes off well without a little bit of luck involved. But they had a couple feints where they made Hitler thinking that a buildup was coming over there. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, these small teams that are actively being hunted, the communication line between there had to be so good, because they would have found out about D-Day had they captured the right Jedburgh, and had he had something written down that he shouldn't have had written down, had they intercepted those communication lines. The fact on the intelligence side or the counterintelligence side that nothing got leaked and maintained the element of surprise is another just massive thing that I don't think people really understand what an amazing operation that was and how many people were involved.
And not just like another thing to that is the Jedburgh teams being smart enough. I mean, the resistance is their friends in a sense, knowing what to say, what not to say, because those resistance fighters are more likely to get captured than the Jedburghs themselves. or easily.
It reminds me of the saying, secrets don't make friends; they make best friends, and there's some truth to that. And it'd be too easy to try to shore up that relationship by telling them a secret. Mm-hmm. It's just natural to look better, to look like you're in the know, even if it's with good intentions, to ensure that, hey, I can trust you, you can trust me, I'm telling you things. But they didn't, and it just goes to the quality of men that we had from the beginning. And
in my experience, having worked with partner forces numerous times, you develop a relationship with them.
You do.
That just can't be duplicated.
I think another thing that's overlooked, and I don't know a whole lot about it. When I think of Jedburgh teams, I only think about France. I do know they operated in more, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
There was also teams that were deployed to, what was it, Belgium, Norway, and the Netherlands, I believe, and then some teams in the Philippines.
I've never even heard of them operating in the Philippines. That's
right.
That's news to me. And I do know some of our, like you said, some of our founding fathers came from that. I mean, that's where special operations really cut its teeth. We have two founding fathers from special forces that came out of the Jedbergs?
Yeah. So Aaron Bank is probably one of the bigger names. There's building it. The Special Force Qualification Course named after him. He was a prior Jedberg. And then Colonel Aaron Volkman, who also, he was one of the soldiers that was on one of the teams in the Philippines.
Yeah. I remember going through the Q course, Swick preparing for Aaron Banks to die because he was very old. I'll probably put it up because there will be a picture of him, and I'll say his from and to date. But he was I think he went past 100, which we made this joke earlier because we were talking about. I think I have a chance to interview a former World War II veteran from Patton's Army. He's 101 years old, and we're like, what happened to those guys? How'd they get so durable?
They amaze me at how long they're able to maintain their acuity. Like they are so sharp and they remember everything.
I know. I've talked to Mac v SAW guys in Vietnam, and they'll tell me the LZ they landed in and the day the operation happened.
Whether it was sunny or not.
Right. Who the guys were next to them. And I feel bad because I can't remember half my former ODA members on certain teams. And I'm guessing at years of my deployments. Yeah. And you're right. So some of these, the older generation, it's like they never left it to some degree mentally. And that there may be some truth to that. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to downplay either one of our service, but we both know that people look at us and say that we did a lot, and they'd be right. I'm not going to completely downplay that. Yeah. But also, guys like me and you also know what those guys really did.
Oh, I have huge respect.
and if they wonder why we have such huge respect to them, because we fought in wars, but we didn't. Not all wars are created equal, and what those guys did is just something special.
Yeah, I remember my first deployment was a 12-month deployment in Iraq, and I came home on mid-tour leave, and whenever you came through the main hub, for me it was Dallas, and when we got off the plane, we were all in uniform, and there's this massive corridor with vets on either side, welcoming us home. And I look at their hats and their Vietnam, World War II, Korean War, and I'm a corporal at the time. And coming back on mid-tour leave from my first deployment, it took all I had not to just break out in tears. Like just because I was like, why are they thanking me? Like I just see all that history there.
Yeah.
And it's mind blowing.
I'm on a mission ever since I got an opportunity to interview that guy, and I've been very fortunate to get to interview amazing men like yourself. But I want to interview him, and I want to find a Korean War veteran as well. When we have to capture this knowledge, and we have to capture these stories.
Yeah.
Before it's too late.
Those dudes are awesome. And my right after basic training, the first place I went was Korea for a year.
Was it really?
And after living there for a year, I don't know how those guys did it. The terrain, the weather, that's the hottest, the coldest, the wettest I have ever been in my life. I don't know how they did it.
I never went to Korea. I've never heard good things about Korea, at least from that aspect. Yeah. Like it is, and it's called the Forgotten War for a reason. And I would love to hear that story. But for right now, we want to hear your story. I appreciate the history lesson and looking into the Jeds. And before we get to more recent activities of the Jeds, I want to dig into your story just a little bit. Here at the Tier 1 Podcast, we're excited to have Tasty Gains as a sponsor, a company with values that aligns with ours. I take their products every day, 3 times a day. And if it wasn't a product that I didn't take personally and believe in, and a company with integrity, then they wouldn't be sponsors on this show. Creatine helps the body produce more ATP, which is an energy molecule that your entire body runs on. It helps improve your physical and mental performance in all aspects of life. Let's be honest, creatine powder sucks to take every day. With the creatine gummies, you can take them with you anywhere and they taste great. Every batch is third-party tested, so you know you're getting exactly what you pay for. Go to tastygains.com and enter the promo code TIER1, that's TIER, the number 1, and get 20% off your order. When did you join? What was your first job?
Okay. So I joined February 10th, 2004. Joined the Army as a combat engineer. Went to basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, and it's funny. My dad took me to MEPS, and when we were there, he's like, "Travis, I don't care what you do, just don't go Special Forces." And I'm like, "Dad, you're crazy. No, I'm going to go be an engineer."
Right? Why would he say that? Yeah. Do you know why he would say that?
He was just worried about me. I'm his son,
yeah.
His oldest boy, and.
Right.
And he's like,
I
know. He's like, Travis, I know you. Don't do it.
Oh, the irony.
Yeah. And at the time, I just discounted it.
Right.
I was like, that's not going to happen.
I know. Yeah, and same thing for me. I mean, outside of people who specifically go there as 18 X-rays, Special Forces just seems, almost like a myth. It seems like you don't see a lot of, unless you're in particular bases, you just don't see a lot of Green Berets. People tell stories that are probably inflated of the time they ran into Green Berets overseas, and it just becomes this real mythical thing. So I get that. It wasn't on my radar when I joined either. How long did it take before you ignored your dad's advice and started thinking about Special Forces?
Well, really after my first deployment.
Okay.
So, like I said, I was a combat engineer and deployed to Baghdad 0506. IEDs were huge, and our battalion was tasked with route clearance. And so driving 5 mile an hour down the road, staring out a window, looking for bombs. Yeah. And sometimes, a lot of the time they found us, blowing up in your face. But we got to be really good at it. But anyway, we'd be doing that at night and all lit up. And then I would see, 4, 5, 6 Humvees go blowing past us.
Yeah.
Dudes hanging off the tailgate, beards, night vision, on their way to do something.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm in the wrong business.
Yeah. Had you been to Sapper School yet?
At that time, no.
Okay. was, I'm assuming you did before you went to the Q course.
Correct. Yeah. So I came back from that deployment, fully invigorated.
Yeah.
And so decided my plan was to work my way up. And so I went to Sapper School and Ranger School both in the same year. And then once I finished Ranger School, I wanted to put in an SF packet to go to selection. And at this point, whenever I was a squad leader, and my first sergeant asked me to hold off. He's like, we have a 15-month deployment coming up. You have experience.
Yeah.
I need you to stay, run your squad. I'll give you anything you want. And I was like, anything?
A selection date?
And
besides that.
And he was like, yeah, anything. I was like, I want sniper school. And he's like, done. Well, I got a slot,
Okay.
but then I got orders for BNOC, which canceled that.
Yeah.
And then we got stop lost, which canceled that.
Yeah.
So I didn't get any of them. But it was still one of my favorite trips is going on that second deployment as a squad leader. That was a good experience.
Where did you go back to Baghdad? Or
It was in Diyala province from 0809.
Okay. I really want to talk about Sapper School. You'd be the first graduate of Sapper School that we've had on. And I think most people have heard about it, and I don't think anyone knows anything about it, including me.
Yeah.
I'd give you my best guess at it, and I'd probably be half right and half wrong. But before we get into that story, just something that was really unique was you did Sapper School and Ranger School in the same year.
Correct.
I'm not sure what's wrong with you, but I'm really glad you said that, and I'm sure you're really glad you did that, because people ask me for advice sometimes, and said, when should I go to this? When should I go to that? And my answer is always, as soon as you can.
Yep.
And we talk about it all the time. We've talked about it in our careers too. Those opportunities aren't always there. They're windows, and you don't know when the window starts sometimes, and sometimes you're in the window, so you know it starts, but you don't know when it ends. Something always comes up. Mm-hmm. And I love how you took advantage of that, and you're like, I'll do everything I can as soon as I can.
Yeah.
Real quick question, we're getting into it. Which one was harder, Sapper School or Ranger School?
Sapper School was harder. Ranger School sucked more.
Okay, I'll take that answer.
And what I mean is, Sapper School is 28 days long. Ranger School is 62 days long. Sapper School is basically a conglomeration of every Army school out there. So not only all your engineer tasks, demolition and all that stuff, but there's Pathfinder, air assault, airborne, mountain, and then patrolling,
Yeah.
which is the Ranger part of it.
Right. Man, they really pack it in there.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I had to, like, mountaineering stuff, I had to memorize 14 different knots, state the checkpoints and purpose, tie the knot in 2 minutes for each one of them. Like in Ranger School, you got to do like 3. Square knot, bow line. That's about it.
Yeah. Don't judge me. I couldn't tie a bow line right now if you asked me.
I bet you could.
The rabbit goes around the tree in the hole. It takes me a couple different methods to. I have a cowboy hat method. I have the rabbit around the tree method. Anyone who's tied a bow line before knows exactly what I'm talking about.
If you can't tie a knot, tie a lot.
That's right. If you can't tie a knot, tie a lot. That has got me through so much in life. Unfortunately, the schools I've been to, they've never accepted that.
Yeah.
They always want to see particular knots.
Yeah.
Oh, walk me through the phases of Sapper School. Is it broken down in phases?
Yeah, it's 2
I assume?
phases. There's the first 2 weeks is the general subjects phase, where it's all your demo calculations, learning all the knots, combatives, level 1, air ops. So we do helicasting into the lake, poncho raft and swim, all your gates. So 12 miler, which is still the hardest 12 mile I've ever done in my life. And land navigation, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's crammed into those 2 weeks. And that's what makes it so hard is it's so much brain power that you have to use on little sleep, crammed into those 2 weeks, and you have to pass all of it.
Yeah. We probably missed a step because I assume people know what a sapper was or have heard of Sapper School. But in case they haven't, what is a sapper?
So a sapper is a combat engineer that is in charge of mobility, counter mobility, and survivability. So to boil that down, basically destroying and installing obstacles. So destroying enemy obstacles and in placing friendly obstacles for tank warfare, trench warfare, all that type of stuff.
Combat's funny in this aspect. It's changed so much from what we've been through to what we'll call modern combat. But at the same time, there's always something that carries over. You still have to know the basics, and it never completely evolves. Was there anything that you can think of from your sapper training that it traces all the way back to the Continental Army of the late 1700s to now that you have seen used in your 10 combat deployments?
I mean, obstacles, it's a very generic term, but it is on every battlefield.
Yeah.
In the Iraq and Afghanistan days, or even Syria, that obstacle was IEDs. Back then, it was logs and just to stop carriages or whatever, resupply lines.
Yeah.
So our job as the sappers was to control the lines of communication.
Yeah. I remember us being in Syria, and that was something that I hadn't seen before, because in Iraq and Afghanistan, it was more of a counterinsurgency. So we're not going to take out bridges and roads because we don't want to piss off the locals. Everyone has to use that, so that's not a time to install an obstacle. But I remember us being in Syria and taking out certain roads and certain bridges to deny them movement and place obstacles with that same TTP of back then, but using it in a current form by doing it with bombs from 20,000 feet to say, hey, take away this roadway right here.
Yep.
It's real interesting in that aspect. So you went to Sapper School first. Did you get a long enough break to go to? Did you know you were going to Ranger School after that? That just kind of fall on your plate and like, yeah, sure, I'll take that too.
That was my plan, but it was up to the unit to get me a slot.
Okay.
As a young E5,
Yeah.
and that was kind of as an engineer. If you wanted a Ranger slot, you had to do Sapper first.
Okay.
Like they weren't going to waste a Ranger slot, which was harder to get.
Was there any animosity to you? I know it's maybe a funny question to some people out on the outside, but I've seen it before, where one guy comes in and he knocks this out, he knocks that out, and he's a younger guy. Like, well, you're giving him all the schools, or why is he getting special treatment? Because, well, for obvious reasons from higher looking down, because he's proven himself.
Yeah.
But guys behind you, did you ever feel anything like that?
No, because they couldn't argue it. So actually, what it all started with was at that time I had the highest PT score in the battalion.
Okay.
You could tell that guy that no, he can't go to Sapper School.
Right. Yeah. You don't like it? Beat him.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't beat him? Suck it up.
Yeah.
I love that mentality.
And like I did everything I could. Like during that first deployment, like I said, it was a year long. And it was regular Army. So we did boards and stuff like that. I competed for a brigade soldier of the year. And I was kind of a board baby. I got promoted 3 times that one trip. I went there as a PFC, came back in E5.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you, like I said, you put it in, you deserved it. When you got back from that trip, That's what they asked you to do. They said, stick with us one more trip. We need you.
Yes.
And you fulfilled that. Did they give you any flack when you continued to do what you said you were going to do, which was continue to try to move on with your military career?
I mean, it was kind of a little of both. So, like, there were certain leaders that I had that were not happy about it. Mm-hmm. They thought that I should follow their footsteps and go be a drill sergeant or something like that. But others that really supported it. And also, I took it upon myself in Kuwait on my way back to go to the SF recruiter and sign my volunteer statement.
It's not wasting any time.
Yeah, I'm not, because I was also a senior E6 at that point, or getting close to it. Yeah. And I was at risk on getting DA selected for drill sergeant.
Correct. Yeah.
And I was like, nope.
You end up getting a slot to go to SFAS. Mm-hmm. Do you know how long it took between you put in your volunteer statement, did you say in Kuwait?
Yeah.
And when you actually got, how long it took you to go to selection?
I think somewhere between 4 and 6 months. It wasn't long. It was long enough for me to train up.
They give you time to train up?
Yeah. I mean, they did. They didn't fight it. And
right.
Even though they didn't like the decision, they didn't want me to fail. Or like certain people didn't like it. But the majority of people were very supportive of it.
Yeah.
So
when you went there, did you guys have anyone else from the company or battalion that you know of that had gone to selection?
There was a few guys that had went before, and I believe got selected, that I knew, but they weren't necessarily in the battalion. They, I believe they were like Sapper instructors.
Okay.
And ended up going to selection and getting selected and going to different groups and stuff.
That's something that makes it a little bit more of a myth, because when no one else has done it, or worse, when a few people have done it and tried and they come back, it becomes this even more of a mythical thing that no one knows anything about.
Yeah.
Did you have any expectations going into it?
Yes, but I build everything up in my head.
Okay.
It's going to be the worst thing ever,
right?
The hardest thing ever. And it was very difficult, but doable.
Did you have any issues in selection, land nav, team events, trek, or you were challenged, but you got through each one of them?
Yep. Most of my challenges were injuries. So like an idiot, I messed up my ankle really bad, like fractured my ankle before selection, and then fractured my tibia during selection, during the STAR course, and didn't tell anybody. Like my shin was so swelled up, and like you could push on it and the indent would just stay there. Like putting socks on was so painful.
How'd you hurt your ankle before selection?
That's where I was saying I was an idiot. We had to do something on the parade field, and I come running out there and see a buddy of mine, and I go to like jump and do a jump hug type thing, and it scares him, and he pushes me, and I go straight down on him. It almost made me throw up, and it just instantly swelled up. I was like, "This isn't good."
How long before selection was that?
Like a week.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you're
but I wasn't putting
that
it off.
Thing. Yeah. Yeah. That one I would understand. That's got to be a very difficult decision. It may not have been a difficult decision for you because you're hard-headed, but maybe it should have been a harder decision for you than it was.
Correct.
Yeah. But you made it.
Yeah, I think it was 23 at the time.
Yeah. It cost you even more. I'm sure the ankle injury fed into the leg injury. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did that happen at the very end of selection?
It was during the STAR course.
During the STAR course?
Yeah.
So you still had to do
team week and all that.
Team week and the trek on that hurt leg.
Yeah.
Gosh. I'm sure you remember how miserable that was.
So I remember at the end when it's officially over and you're all standing there in formation and the cadre are standing there like, all right, if I call your name, go stand over here. And if I don't, then you stay where you're at, whatever. Called names and I didn't know what was what. I couldn't tell,
Right.
Because there was guys I thought would pass on both sides.
Right.
And I was like, man, which one am I in? And finally they said, if you're standing here, congratulations, you're selected. Does anybody need to see a doctor? And I was like, yeah, immediately. I was like, yes, please.
Stat.
Yeah. I felt like somebody took a ball peen hammer to the bottom of my feet.
That story is going to make mine sound so unmanly because my biggest concern, it's not just mine, it's everyone's. But my biggest concern was getting a blister or a hot spot because, as you know, once it starts, there is no recovery time and it only gets worse. And I remember seeing people that didn't come to selection with their feet in a condition they needed, and people literally cutting their boots apart to keep that section of their boot off that blister. And those blisters just getting worse and worse and worse by the day. Yeah. It's just, that was my biggest concern. Yet there you are with essentially a broken leg, finishing it.
But I'm sure you can relate. And all three of those things, when you're there by yourself doing hard stuff, in my mind, I was like, there's no way I am going back to my unit a failure.
First thing I said, that's what got me through selection.
Not going to happen.
Not going back to my unit in anything other than selected.
Yep.
Were there residual consequences and effects of that injury that kept you from going to phase 2, or?
No, luckily I was young, so I was smart enough to know that it's over and do what I had to do to take care of myself, and get myself back into it because I knew it wasn't over.
Yeah.
And just take it easy, allow my body to heal.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about the Q course several times on this episode, so I apologize for any first time listeners, but maybe that'll encourage you to go look at past episodes because there's a lot of other things that I want to talk to you about. If you've ever been to any of my tactical training classes, then you know how adamant I am about the use of white light and the importance of a quality, high-powered tactical light. That's why I use Cloud Defensive Tac Lights. You can't hit what you can't see, and neither can the bad guys. Clearly identify your target and simultaneously overwhelm his vision with hundreds and even thousands of lumens. Get serious about defending yourself and your family. Go to clouddefensive.com and use promo code TIER1 to get 30% off your order. That's right, 30%. You won't find a better light than this, and you won't find a better deal than this. First and foremost, if people don't know, and this will make other groups mad, but deep down they know as well. Fifth Group is a very powerful name within Special Forces. I mean, it is. I mean, it's with the War on Terror, it is the group. They started the invasion in Afghanistan. They did the invasion of Iraq. I know they didn't do Iraq alone, but Fifth Group did carry its fair share and maybe a little bit more than other Special Forces groups during the war. It's not diminishing what other they did amazing things, but there was something special about Fifth Group during the War on Terror. When you got assigned to go there, what were your thoughts?
Well, actually, so if you remember in the Q course, they give you a card and say put down what groups you want to go to, your wish list.
Right. I
just put Fifth Group. And I was to answer your question, I was like, good, I got what I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually never heard of anyone doing that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
And you got what you wanted.
Yep.
And Fifth Group's great because it's, I feel like usually you have to pick one or the other. You can have a good location and a bad job, or a bad job in a good location. And fifth group is one of the few where you can get both. Everyone that goes to Fort Campbell and at fifth group generally enjoys that area and enjoys the job.
Yeah.
Did the area have anything to do with why you wanted to go to fifth group?
No, I knew fifth group owned the Middle East, based on the regional alignments of all the groups. And that's where I wanted to go.
What was the first ODA that you went to?
So the first ODA I went to was 5112, which was in A15, the SIF company. I was there for about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. And then after that?
Then I went to the Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 5126, and that's where I spent quite a bit of time before going over to the Jeds. And had I not made that transition to Bravo Company, I probably never would have had my Afghanistan deployment, which is still one of my top 3 favorite deployments.
What year was that deployment time frame?
2014 in Mazar Sharif.
Mez, I was there during that same time.
Really?
Yeah. 2014 out of Mez. That's where we were operating at when I got shot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fun fact about Mez and kind of in general. I don't know if this pertained to you guys as well, but the North was really an under. How do I say this? It was just somewhat under patrolled and under investigated place because the hot spots were in other countries. The East was always a hot spot. The South was a hot spot. And when we started looking at the North, it seemed like it was fairly desolate target-wise on the surface. But when you started digging in, what you find out was this was the place the headquarters was. This is the place. If it was too cold and they weren't going to go across the mountain and refit over at Pakistan, they would come north and refit there. And the North ended up being a very, very active spot for us.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't seem like it on the surface and at the beginning.
And if I remember right, because of the time and it was in the war and how things were, kind of drawn down, and we were tied to the golden hour, which is, the distance that we can travel and get a casualty out within that 1 hour window.
Right.
And so early in the trip, a lot of the targets that we were hitting were dry holes, and we're like, something's off here. And the team, level 3s and 18 Foxes, they started digging into it and found where they were. And it was just outside of that window. And we figured out a fix for it. And I forget what they're called, but we used basically a jump med station.
Okay.
The SOS teams.
Yep.
And we're doing a lot of operations up in Kunduz. And that's where it got fun.
Yeah. There are some military units out there that would just sit there and go, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Mm-hmm.
The team that we replaced, they just hit dry hole after dry hole.
Yeah.
We're like, this sucks.
That's a good point too. Not all special forces teams are the same. Mm-hmm. And that's just not within SF. I found that within working with SEALs, within, working with SF, working with different Ranger companies, there is a culture, that each one of them has a culture that's generally true, but then there's always the individual or the team aspect, and some are a lot more aggressive, some are more risk adverse, some were a lot more thoughtful in the way they went about things. Others just wanted to crush things, and it was just really unique to see that.
Yeah, that team that I was with in Afghanistan was probably one of the best teams I've ever been a part of.
And I think and the best teams are the ones who will who will do both. They will try to outsmart a problem, yet they also have no problem just going right to the X and smashing things at the same time when need be. And it's hard to find that balance, but every now and again you get a team that can do both, and those are fun teams to be a part of.
Yeah.
And they're fun teams to grow up in. You get to learn what right looks like.
Yep.
When the Jedbergs start to come back around in SF, did you guys hear through the rumor mill that, hey, SF's looking to start up new teams, Jedbergs? How'd that come about?
Yeah, so rumors spread like wildfire, but there's never any details. So I heard it coming. We came back from that trip, and it was actually my team sergeant that decided to go over there and try it out. He was at the end of his team sergeant time and on the ODA, so he went over there and did that. I ended up taking over the team for a bit, and after he was there for a little bit, he was like, "Hey, Travis, you should come do this."
Yeah.
And that specific guy, JT, he was a huge part of my career. I mean, he was my Robin Sage instructor, and then my team sergeant for a long time, and then I followed him over to the Jeds, and then was my team sergeant there, and then I took over. I just kept following him and replacing him, and huge part of my career.
Of course, I remember JT because that's you were on his team when I met you in Syria.
Yep.
So we talked about the history of Jeds and what they did when the Jedburgh teams got stood back up. What was the size of them? What was their purpose? Do you feel like it's an honest question? Sometimes things get rolled out well, sometimes they don't. Did you feel like they had a clear goal and it was rolled out very well?
Well, so there's still 3-man teams, which was always kind of weird to me because I always thought 4 would be better because then you have the ability to split.
Right.
But that's what we stuck to, except, as opposed to the version in World War II, it was all American.
Right.
And first SFC rolled it back out in 2014. And then, but it wasn't very standardized. It just said, hey, do this. And every group did their own way, which is kind of necessary because we all have different AORs.
Right.
Or areas of responsibility. What 5th Group Jeds do in the Middle East is not going to be the same thing that 10th Group Jeds do in Europe.
Right.
But there was a standardized process, so in order to get into the Jedbergs, it was you hand selected by the group commander. You had to go to a formal board. You had to be a senior guy with a few deployments under your belt. And that's what it is a small team because you're still doing what 12 people do. And so we don't send anybody there, first. You have to have some time on an ODA and understand what an ODA does because the reason they brought it back was, I think, really after lessons learned from Afghanistan, there was an obvious gap of where the agency ended and the ODA began. And that's what we were designed to fill.
Okay. I remember there was a large or a heavy weight on the language aspect of it, which SF always has been to some degree, but the Jeds seem to have a higher standard when it came to language. Did it have to be a 2-2? Was there a language barrier that they were requiring as well?
Yes, that was the goal. And a lot of the guys within at least the 5th Group Jeds had very high language abilities. I did not, but also my language was French, so I never really got to use mine.
Right.
But, I mean, there was guys on my team that spoke basically fluently 6, 7, 8 different dialects of Arabic and could go anywhere and do anything without an interpreter.
I will never forget it. It seems so simple, maybe to some people, but Dave.
Yes.
Dave was on a neighboring Jed team, if I remember right, correct? And they were also working with us. And me and you were standing up a team, a specialized team, and we were going to give them a medical class. And Dave was an 18 Delta, and I asked Dave if he would give the class. He goes, "Sure, I'll give the class." I said, "Okay, this is the day the class will be here." Now, I assumed, because it's a medical class, you have a very deep medical class. There's a lot of words that he would be giving in English that I wouldn't know. So I made sure our best interpreter was there because he was going to have a bunch of medical terms he was going to have to say. And I remember asking him, I asked him, but it was more of an assumption, like, "Hey, do you need the terp?" "Of course you need the terp." He's like, "No, I don't need the terp." I was like, "Oh, like, well, I needed I intended to have like a really in-depth class, to do this." He's like, "Yeah, I know what you want." It's like, "You don't need the terp?" He goes, "No." I said, "Well, I'll have him in the back of the class if you ever need him." He goes, "No, he can leave. I got this." And I watched Dave for hours and hours on end speak perfect Arabic to these guys and never have one of them say, "What, can you say that again? Can you say it differently?" I never saw him stop once and go, "Oh man, how do you say this in Arabic?" It was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen from a Green Beret.
He loves language and medicine as much as I love explosives.
Yeah, that says something. That really puts it in perspective.
I mean, he is a savant.
It's always a running joke in SF to be hard on our officers or any officer. It's a military wide thing. And let me tell you, your guys' officers that came over were also really, really good dudes.
Yes.
I mean, I saw him give. I've never seen an ODA commander give a foreign weapon class in my life, and I saw Jedberg officers do that and do it at a high level. Yeah. It just brought a lot of respect to what you guys did. The capability you guys came over and filled truly was something we couldn't do.
Yep.
I don't mean this in a bad way, because as you know, I'm a proud Green Beret. I have a lot of respect for ODAs, but to some degree, the way the Jedbergs acted, how senior they were, like they're just really in-depth knowledge, was kind of how I thought all ODAs were. But the Jedbergs really held that standard a little bit more.
Yeah, and a lot of it's out of necessity. I mean, you're trying, like I said, doing 12 guys' job with 3 guys. So a normal SF team has, a Bravo, a Charlie, a Delta, an Echo, or the main 4 MOSs, plus the 18 Fox intelligence, the warrant officer, the team sergeant, and then the officer. You get 3 guys, you may not have a Delta. So that,
Right.
that was another thing.
Right.
Part of our pipeline is they created a higher level medical course for us to go through. That coming out of that, I had way more confidence than I did ever coming out any T-Tri-C or whatever, like EMT certified, doing blood transfusions in the field, stuff like that.
I don't know if you remember this, but we were talking about doing some harassment missions and really ensuring the FLOT was a unique place. I used to kind of call it a banker's war at times, because neither the Kurds or ISIS had night vision. So for the most part, the war kind of went 9 to 5. And it was our job to make sure that at night they no longer felt safe. And we were coming up with ideas. And I saw you had some great ideas, and even going, "Well, that's a great idea. Can you do that?" And, "Yeah, I can do that." "Have you done it before?" "Yeah, I've done it before." I believe was it Laws or AT4s? You were taking apart and putting them on a timer.
Yeah.
Just things like just
Demo
some
ambush.
some MacGyver stuff, some true MacGyver stuff. I
Yeah.
was like, that's a great idea. It's not our forte. It's not the unit's forte true unconventional warfare. Like we may have that in our past, but it doesn't mean that's our focus. And it was apparent was your guys's.
Yeah, I mean when you give a Green Beret or the ability to experiment and do things that are truly outside of the box, man, the things that people can come up with is mind blowing.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Some of the stuff that I remember when we met you, we were basically like, what are you guys doing here? And you're like, well, we're figuring it out. And Anders, who's no longer with us, one of the greatest operators I've ever met in my life. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest Green Berets I've ever met in my life. He was a great man, but always a pioneer, always a visionary, always had ideas. And he was like, "You want a job? You want to come work with us?" And you're like, "Hell yeah, we do." And you guys came and got in where you fit in, and it really was a capability we were lacking. We were also lacking manpower, and even though it was just 3 of you guys, there wasn't many of us either.
Yeah.
And everywhere we needed you guys, you could plug in. Yeah, I remember going out on the flot with you and doing long distance shooting with you, doing unconventional warfare stuff with you, training an indigenous force with you. We could not have got done what we got done that trip without you guys.
Yeah, and that trip specifically was probably the, I guess, most Green Beret trip I've ever done. Because it was, for me, essentially Robin Sage. We started in Iraq, infilled into Syria, built a base camp, linked up with our partner force, started training them, building them, organizing them, equipping them, and then going out and executing operations.
Yeah, it was a really cool time. It's what everyone wants to be at the beginning of something before all the rules come in.
Yeah, yeah.
and we finally got to do that in Syria. If I'd have had my way, I'd have made it mandatory that you guys came with us on our next trip too. I mean, that's how much we appreciated you guys and looked up to you guys because of that particular skill set that you guys had. That was really unique, and it's kind of to go back. It was a particular skill set that they brought in World War II, and I love that Special Forces did not forget its history and said, we actually did something like this before, and brought it back with a more modern twist to it. Yeah, but it was needed. God, it was needed. After you left us in Syria, where'd you end up going?
So I stayed in the Jeds and did 3 more trips to Yemen and working on that problem set until I eventually got promoted and then stepped into the Sergeant Major seat.
It reminds me about the promotions. We were very senior.
I'm glad you brought that up.
We were very senior E7s
together
in Syria, and we could not make E8.
We were both on the same promotion list, and we had a running joke, forever sevens.
Forever sevens.
I think it took 18 months for me to pin or something like that.
It was, yeah, that's right. We had made the list.
Yeah,
and normally when you make the list, within 12 months, if your number hasn't come up, they exhaust the list.
Yep.
And for some reason, they did not do that.
Yeah.
And every month we're waiting to
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Be E8s. I forgot about that. Speaking of the original Jedbergs and current ones, the original ones had one of the coolest mottos of all the special operations. Do you remember what it was?
Surprise, kill, vanish.
Surprise, kill, vanish. SKV.
Yep.
I can't believe that's not on T-shirts. There's a book about it.
Yep.
Right? Surprise, kill, vanish.
Yep.
I think that's better than speed, surprise, violence of action. I love that. And you guys take that motto with you into the current one as well?
Oh yeah.
You're not going to do a better one than that.
No, and within the Jeds, I mean, we tried doing a lot of things that was kind of looked at weirdly. So, all the ODAs, they go by team numbers. Mm-hmm. Well, the original Jed teams all had names. So, and they were odd names. So like ephedrine, Ivor, James, these weird different names. And we found the list of all those names. And then within our troop, we had 3 teams, 3-man teams. Mm-hmm. And we adopted one of the names for each team.
Yeah.
And we started putting that on con ops and all kinds of stuff. And officers looked like, who is Team Ephedrine?
Speaking of some of the James Bond stuff you would do, I actually have it in the garage. I'll show it to you after this episode when we have cigars. You made me what I use as a coaster. I'm not sure what it is originally. Do you know what I'm talking about already? Do you remember doing that for me?
I was wondering if you still have it.
I still have it. Since you know what it is, tell them what it is and how you made that.
So I like to play with demo, and
you still have all your fingers, so you're good at it.
Yes. So what I took was a sheet of plate steel, and then I designed the logo for our troop, and I spent painstaking hours. I took duct tape and covered the top of the steel, made a stencil, traced our logo on it, took a razor blade and cut it all out, leaving only the logo there, and then laid sheet explosives over the top of it, and then detonated it. Well, because of the way that the pressure works and it all goes at the same time, and with that difference of thickness from the tape, it permanently etched that logo into the steel. Yeah. And I made them one for everybody that was on that trip and gave it to them as coasters to take home. I've got mine sitting on my desk at home right now.
Where'd you learn to do that? You have any idea?
I saw it in another, I think it was Navy EOD guy.
Okay. We'll edit that out. We're not giving them credit.
No, I saw it somewhere, and I was like, "How did you do that?" And he explained it to me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm doing that."
Yeah. The other thing, in fact, we have a picture of it. We'll put it up here.
Okay.
We did a lot of projects. I hope I can find all the pictures. When you're first into Syria, we built out the camp.
Yeah. Put together a lot of bunk beds.
We put together a lot of beds. We put the gym together.
Yes. That was my pet project.
You were the gym commander.
Correct.
Proudly. I was essentially like my secondary job was base commander, and so I gave all the SF guys, that were their jobs. We had and to make them cool, I called everyone a commander.
Yes.
And so we had the vehicle commander, the gym commander,
the fire pit commander,
we had the fire pit commander who had to keep the fire pit going and keep the fire pit clean.
Yeah.
Oh man, those were great. Gosh, they were.
And
great.
there's actually assigned duties, to all of those.
They were assigned duties. We built we're both out. I'm sure there's statute of limitations. It looked like a bar. It couldn't have been a bar because that wouldn't have been.
It was a lounge.
That wouldn't have been correct. It was a lounge.
MWR.
We called it the
Green Beret Lounge.
The Green Beret Lounge. The Green Beret Club?
I think it was the GB Lounge.
The GB Lounge.
Yep.
And granite countertops, built the bar to that.
LED lighting.
LED lighting. Oh yeah, exactly what you would want to post mission. Go out there and hang out and talk about it.
There was other dudes in the area that would come work out at our gym specifically.
Depending on who they were, I may not have liked that.
Yeah, they tried.
They tried. Yeah, and some we'd let stay.
Yeah.
We had a board of. Was it the Board of Manly Feats?
Yes.
Do you remember what it was called?
The Feats of Manliness.
The Feats of Manliness.
Yes.
Tell them about the Feats of Manliness. So this is when you're overseas and you're doing these type of operations, you still have downtime, and that's of course what I remember the most.
Yeah.
Is all the good times we had. What were the Feats of Manliness we had?
So there was a list of just a bunch of different tasks. So one, most dead hang pull-ups. Bench press 135 for 100 reps for time.
For time, yeah.
Fastest speed that you can achieve on the curved treadmill.
Yep.
Highest deadlift, highest squat.
135-pound curls.
Yes.
this, I can't remember. I think that might have been all of them. Can you remember anymore?
No, there was a couple other like smaller ones, but that was essentially it. But in order to get on the board, it had to be observed by the gym commander.
By the gym commander. That is correct. Because I wasn't going to have people come in and do CrossFit pull-ups. I did 35 pull-ups. No, you didn't. The 135 curl was a very stringent one, because if strict curls, you could throw your body weight around on that and not be, and guys tried, and you held the standard. And that's really why you were the gym commander, because I knew you would hold the standard with the feats of manliness.
Yeah, even sometimes I didn't want to.
I get it. Not to brag, but I held most of those records.
Yes.
On there. And I don't know if you remember this. At the beginning, I sat back and I watched some guys put their name on the board first. So I knew what I had to go after. And when they were just supposed to put their name on the board, but they added some extra info, and that was what group they were with. Because at the time we had some intel guys, some level 3s from various groups that were working for us. And so you'd see his name, what he did, and at the very end, 10th Special Forces Group. And we had guys from almost every group there. I mean, obviously the Jedberg teams were only from 5th group, but the intel guys, we had guys from every group.
Yeah.
And so on the board, you'd see 10th group, 5th group, 7th group, all these different groups. And so when I went to remove their names from the board and add mine, do you remember what I did?
No.
I put Brent Tucker, and I put what I did, and I put 20th group.
Oh, yeah.
And it upset some guys. And they're like, that's not right. You can't put, you're not from 20th group. I absolutely am from 20th group.
Yeah.
And when you guys rotated out and the next Jedbergs came, I forgot that I had done that. And this guy walks into the gym and he's looking at the feats of manliness, and he's like, who's this Brent Tucker guy? And I didn't even, 20th group is here?
Who let them in?
Yeah. And some guy working out stands up and goes, no, he's not from 20th group. Brent, tell him you're not from 20th group. I am from 20th group. That hurt people's feelings. But that was fun. And in full disclosure, the one that I think I only lost one of them. There were some times we went back and forth and someone would beat me and I'd have to train just for that for weeks on end to reclaim it. But we had an Air Force 2-4 guy come in and take the pull-ups away from me. Mm-hmm. And he did it to a number that I knew I was not regaining that. And that's what hurt the worst. And I remember being with you as he's doing them.
That was where I learned my lesson. If you're going to put a record up, make it so unattainable that nobody will ever even think about it.
Gosh. Oh, Eric, but it's not fair. He was like 170 pounds. He didn't have as much weight as we had to pull up. He was made for that.
Yeah.
He was made for that. Anyway,
he basically floated up.
He basically did. I really wanted to take a walk down memory lane on that. In fact, there's one more thing. We built a pulpit. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
I had the woodworkers, the local woodworkers, build us a pulpit.
Yep.
And what did we have on that pulpit?
The Swoley Bible.
The Swoley Bible. The Swoley Bible.
Yeah.
That's a hilarious book, by the way. If you guys don't know what the Swoley Bible is, the most ridiculously written book ever.
And then our Donald Pump tank tops.
Oh, that's right. We had Donald Pump. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yep. Donald Trump had just become president during that trip. During that trip. And we all got Donald Pump tank tops to wear at the gym.
You made sure everybody in camp knew.
Oh, do you remember what happened the morning of the election?
Yeah.
Do you remember what?
Yeah.
Tell that story.
Everybody else went to bed. You stayed up and watched it, and it looked like he was going to lose.
It did.
And you're like, nope, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. We all kind of went to bed, and then next thing you know, Brent's running through through the entire camp yelling, "We won!" We won.
Yeah,
Beating on doors.
and so many people opened up. It's like, what are you yelling about? I was like, Donald Trump won, and I do like messing with people.
Yeah.
And this is another time in my life where I realized maybe I mess with people too much, because people were literally closing the door and be like, "No, we didn't. I don't have time for this. I'm going back to bed." I'm like, "No, he really won." "Sure he did, Brent." No one would believe me.
Yeah.
It took like an hour before some people woke back up, checked their phones, or got on the internet, whatever it is they did to find out, and be like, "Oh, hey, did you guys know Donald Trump won?" I'm like, "Yes." I told everyone that, but no one wanted to believe me.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. Man. All right. Getting back to good times got me off course. You go to Syria. For a guy who was forever 7, you end up between the two of us picking up Sergeant Major.
I did.
What was your first job as Sergeant Major?
I was company sergeant major in 2nd Battalion, Bravo Company 2nd Battalion. Loved it.
Did you?
Yes.
You grew up in 1st Battalion, though.
Yep. Grew up in 1st Battalion and then moved to 4th Battalion for the Jeds, and then stepped into the sergeant major seat in 2nd Battalion.
What was your favorite part about being a company sergeant major?
So I think, and I think a lot of people agree, the team sergeant is the best job, the one that everybody wants. Well, there's a lot of guys that didn't want to be a sergeant major. They didn't want anything because you're no longer tactical. You're not on a team anymore.
Right.
Which at that point in my career, my body was deteriorating. I knew it was time to do something. But basically, the way I looked at it was a company sergeant major is just a team sergeant for team sergeants.
Right.
And I approached it with that mindset.
Yeah.
And, I had 6, 7 team sergeants counting the B team that I was responsible to mentor and make sure that the teams had everything that they needed to be successful. And like at that point, I worked for them.
I want to transition over to a little bit of leadership talk. I won't make you say names, but did you have a favorite team sergeant?
Yeah.
Did you have a least favorite team sergeant?
I can't put my finger on one. I had some strong team sergeants, and like top 3.
Okay.
And they were just a pleasure to be in that position for them.
Yeah.
Receptive, hungry, cared what I thought because I cared what they thought.
Yeah. Did you have doesn't make him a weak team sergeant, but someone has to be the weakest, but the truth is it just may not have been someone that fits that bill that I'm describing. Did you have someone like that?
Yeah, there was one that had to get fired, if that's what you're asking.
No, I wasn't asking if you fired anyone.
All right, we'll cut that out.
No. Well, we're not. Unless you want to, I'm not cutting that out.
Yeah.
Or not. I'm not cutting it out. I'd rather not, because that's the other part of leadership. It's easy to work with the guys that are hungry, to learn, hungry to work for their teams. Firing someone can't be fun.
No, but yeah, so. Even as a squad leader, like I liked the challenges. As long as they were willing to listen, or and were willing to get better, I'll take that all day.
Right. Did he lose the drive, or is he just making bad decisions?
With that situation specifically, it was towards the end of mine and my time as the company sergeant major, but there was a leadership change. He wasn't quite ready for it. The team dynamic changed, and that's what really made it hard.
Yeah.
Is they didn't make it easy for him to be successful.
Yeah. I don't know how familiar you are with the Eddie Gallagher story, but I've seen it time and time again. when Eddie was essentially their version of a team sergeant, and he had a very powerful and in a good way 2IC, the guy right below him, and really, in my experience, that's the team sergeant sets the culture and does a lot, but that next in line, that next senior guy, he's really the shadow governor of the team.
Correct.
And he decides whether the team sergeant's culture gets implemented, if things are kosher between the team, if there's fights between the team. In a weird way, it's really that second guy in charge that bridges that gap, and that if he approves it, then the rest of the team follows through. And when you don't have that, and you start seeing the infighting within a team, it's really painful to be a part of. Luckily, I was never a part of one, but I'd seen that happen to a sister team, and it's tough to watch.
Yeah,
because there's so much potential there that's just lost on cohesion, which seems like something silly to lose effectiveness over, but there's no real way to get it back without shuffling personnel.
Yeah, and it kills me to see, because having seen what a really cohesive team is capable of and what they could be capable of, to see that, it's frustrating to watch.
More random questions, because it happens. Did you have a junior guy that was? It's a little bit harder to say. The team sergeant, because they were directly there, but when you're in that leadership position, every now and again, there's just a young guy that reminds you of yourself, or is just outgoing, and you're like, that guy is going places.
Yes,
and I'm gonna help him go places.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I had a handful of those guys. As the company sergeant major, whenever a new guy comes from the Q course and he gets assigned to your company, it's your job to place him wherever, and depending on what their MOS is and all that, will determine where they go. Well, I had to build a B team because it was basically non-existent whenever I got there, and I ended up having to put a lot of those new guys on the B team. I pulled some guys off of teams too to kind of balance the talent, but those are the guys that I spent most of the day-to-day with.
Yeah.
And watching those guys grow, and then eventually go to a team and just kill it. Yeah. It was awesome.
That's a great first trial for a guy who thinks he's going to a team and finds out he's going to the B team right off the bat. And like anything else in life, it's how you handle it.
Yep.
And if you show up ready, doesn't matter. I'm just happy to be here. And whatever position you give me, I'll be the best at that position. Really shows that because you're a company sergeant major, you know that the next 10 or 15 years are going to go fast. And this 1 year to 2 years he's going to spend on a B team is nothing but really a great foundation that he's going to have before he goes to a team. And it's so easy to lose sight of that as a new guy and just come in with a bad attitude.
Well, and there's also a behind the scenes aspect of it that they don't. No Greenberry coming out of the course wants to hear that they're not going to an A team. But the B team is very important. And having that perspective of what all the B team does or doesn't do to enable the ODAs to accomplish the training and stuff that they need to do, school slots, all of it, ammunition, everything.
Yeah.
So then when you do go to an ODA, you have that perspective.
That's a real good point, because not only do you get to understand what a B team does, you don't have a full understanding, but you have a better understanding of what the battalion does as well. Because usually when you're in a position, you know one step below you, one step above you. Mm-hmm. But when you're a new guy on the team, there is no one below you.
Yeah.
And the guy above you is your senior.
Yep.
So you'll know a little bit about what the B team does, but not really directly. Like you're just in the vicinity, so you kind of figure it out. But if you get assigned to the B team, now you have exposure to battalion and having to work with them, having good approvals for them, what that requires. You're the B team. You get to push information down and be a part of that whole system. Like I said, really
building your network.
Man, there's something to be said about a network too. Absolutely. There are teams that get things done just because they know how to do it and they know who to go to get it done. And
exactly.
that requires a network.
And then the other aspect of it is they get to see the culture and personalities of all the ODAs. And that was the deal I made. Whenever you get done, tell me which team you want to go to.
That's a good deal. Actually, that's a good deal.
So then they weren't going in blind.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to go to the Halo team, or oh, I want to go to this because of this. No,
What'd you do after your company sergeant major time? What was your next position?
So that time was shorter than I wanted it to be, but about 2 years. And then I got moved to battalion operations. So between me and my officer counterpart in charge of all operations for the battalion. And
for the listeners to understand what that means is each company has 6 teams in it, and a battalion has 4 companies. So I'm sorry, 3 companies underneath it. Mm-hmm. So you go from being in charge of 6 teams to essentially, as the operation, you're not the battalion sergeant major, but nothing runs without operations. Like the operations sergeant major really runs those 18 teams now that are underneath you, because they have to go through you first. It doesn't go straight to the sergeant major.
Yeah. And
the command sergeant major.
So like perspective, not that I did everything, but like on deployment, I was responsible for all operations for about 1,000 people spread across 4 countries. So like that's a lot to keep tabs on.
Yeah.
And making sure that they were all successful.
Was it eye-opening to see how much a battalion can really affect and what a battalion really does? Because before that, as always, you only know what you know, and you see the piece of the pie that you see, mm-hmm. and you don't always get to see how they all either fit in together or how complicated this mission really is. But as what you just talked about is a lot, and maybe people understand why op sergeant majors are cranky.
Yes. I kind of like you. I try to have fun no matter where I'm at, because it is what you make it. But yeah, there's times it's just so frustrating, and most time it's not the teams that's frustrating you. But yeah, trying to make things happen on that type of scale.
It's always fun to hear about the good things, but and no one gets credit usually for the good things, especially in high performing organizations. Because when you do something really good, you're normally just met with, yeah, that's what I expect you to do. You don't get attaboys for things you're expected, and when there's a high level of expectations, you're just meeting the standard. So on the opposite side of that, though, is when you have high expectations, when someone does something dumb, it's even more egregious because you're in a high performing organization. I'm gonna put you on the spot, but when there's 18 teams spread across 4 countries, there is something that came across your desk and you thought, why'd they do that? Why am I dealing with this?
Well, I guess the most memorable thing of that is reading con ops.
Okay.
So I'm reading these con ops. They know what it's supposed to look like,
even
though I don't agree with it. They know what it's supposed to look like. I know what it's supposed to look like. I've been in their shoes.
Right.
And something comes across and I'm like, I know what you're trying to do here. And they're trying to sneak something past me or whatever.
Right.
And I'm just like, I got to call the team sergeant or the company or the battalion, the company sergeant major.
Yeah.
Or AOB sergeant major, I guess. And be like, hey. And of course they're going to fight for them.
Right.
As they should.
As they should. If they're a good B team, they will.
Yep. And it's just a conversation that nobody wants to have. And I wish I could just say, yep, good to go.
Right. But you also can't pretend you don't know what you do know.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it. That is funny. It is unfortunate because you've been on the other side of that. You've tried to sneak things through battalion.
Yeah.
And and rightfully so. You get frustrated that you're working under rules and guidelines that are perceived to be too stringent, and it's just easier to work in a gray area, or say you're going on a presence patrol when you're really going on a raid.
Yeah. It shouldn't be surprised about it, because
Right.
that's what we're designed to do.
I know.
Is work in the gray.
I love that's how you handled it, because so many people forget that they were on a team.
Yep.
And they get this holier than thou attitude, and like, how dare you try to sneak this by me?
Yeah.
When really the attitude, and it is a weird way, in a weird way, should be nice try.
Yeah.
Like I actually appreciate the effort, but if you have an ops sergeant major that you can actually talk to, it's a good opportunity to say, tell me what you were trying to do. Tell me why you think you can't do it, and let's get to how you can do it.
Yeah.
And I got to work with one ops sergeant major like that in my time at Group, and he was a great man, Dan Kinkle, and he left. He had one more deployment that he could have gone on as a team sergeant. And to show you the type of sacrifice this man gave, he left his team sergeant early because there was a position opened up at battalion sergeant major. He did not want to do it. He wasn't a guy who's like, I can get rank here, I can get position here. He went there because his last 2 or 3 deployments before, he had fought with battalion. And he said, on this trip, the boys aren't going to fight with battalion. I will go fill that position, and the boys will get out the door as often as possible, and I will make sure they do. And he really he fell on that sword. And,
Yeah. And if you have a good commander, he listens to his ops sergeant major.
yeah, an ops sergeant major really does. They really run the show. They run the show. A good ops sergeant major can get done whatever he really wants done.
Yeah. And there's nothing more frustrating when dealing with somebody that is just looking for a reason to say no.
Yeah, it's the easy answer. Continue on leadership, and you don't even have to say the position you were in at the time, because deductive reasoning will get there. Did you ever have a bad counterpart? Or were you lucky enough to have a good counterpart everywhere you were?
As far as like officer enlisted, not counterpart. I mean, I had some bad officers.
Right.
I was fortunate where, like, really all my immediate leadership was good. I don't know how. I've heard some horror stories in all units, but
Yeah. I'm actually glad that's your answer. I mean, the other answer would be more entertaining, if you will. But it goes back to who Fifth Group is, who Special Forces really is. Yes, there's always bad ones in every organization, but the saying is that I'm just looking to work with fewer of them. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you got to go through all those positions and not truly have a bad counterpart really goes to the system and the process, and that we have a good process. And there's a reason why Green Berets, and in my opinion, and I do mean this holistically, there's other forces that are better at certain things, but Green Berets holistically are our nation's most lethal fighting force on any battlefield.
yeah,
I believe that.
I mean, it's when an ODA is unshackled and you give them a mission, hey, I need this done, just tell me what you need. It's amazing. I mean, Afghanistan, we took over the entire country of Afghanistan, overthrew the Taliban in a matter of weeks with a handful of ODAs.
Yeah. It was. I think it's I'm glad you brought that up, because I think the debacle of nation building gets overshadows what Fifth Group did at the beginning. They just crushed America's enemy at will. Just a handful of ODAs completely crushed that whole country's fighting force. And when it really comes down to Afghanistan, we didn't. Yeah, I've said this before. We didn't lose Afghanistan. We didn't lose Afghanistan. The Afghans lost Afghanistan. If we wanted to occupy Afghanistan for the rest of our days, there would be an American flag on that flagpole for as long as we wanted it there, and no one can take that from us, which means we won. But we decided to try to nation build, which wasn't, in hindsight, it was a bad choice, but we gave them an opportunity, and the Afghan people fumbled that ball.
Yep.
We didn't lose it. What is your perception of Afghanistan, the war? Was it worth it? How it ended?
For Afghanistan, I hate how it ended, and I mean, so much work that's just thrown away. But it's not all on us, like you said. It really takes them, and it's frustrating. At the end of our trip, we closed down our Camp Wise.
Okay.
And handed it over to the Afghans. We came back 2 weeks later, demolished. Like, just, it deteriorated like that. They don't take care of anything. They didn't care about it. They didn't adopt our culture at the end of the day.
Yep. And they had plenty of opportunity to see what our culture was about and what hard work was about, and how much we were willing to support them. And they just never really seemed. The problem is they didn't want it as bad as we wanted it.
Correct.
We wanted it for their country more than they wanted it for their country.
Yep.
And the Taliban wanted it more than they wanted. They didn't want the Taliban to take over, but the Taliban wanted to take it over more.
Yep. Well, and initially, with the Northern Alliance, when we came in, they wanted it. They wanted us there.
That's right. Yeah.
And when you have both sides wanting it enough, you can get a lot done.
Results. Yeah.
But it was after that it kind of fell apart.
I think because it's easy for people who don't want to see the success of the American government and want to view everything as a failure. It's why they paint the Afghan war the way they do, and I understand it. I'm not saying I don't understand it, but they like to lump Iraq as a failed venture as well. And in my opinion, that's just simply not true. I've even been back to Iraq as a contractor and seen Baghdad and what it's become. What's your opinion on Iraq and how that ended and where Iraq stands today?
Definitely more successful. They wanted it more.
Yeah.
They're taking the support that we gave them and trying to build something that can stand on its own.
Yeah, I think there was, because it's a Shia based country, it's like 80 to 90% Shia.
Yeah.
And there is going to, I think a concern earlier is there was going to be a lot of Iranian influence into that. But I think we just solved that problem. I think Iraq really has a chance at a true success. In Syria, what did you think about our partner force, the Kurds, and that war as well?
So the Kurds are probably the easiest to work with. I mean, they get it, and they want to achieve their objectives, and are willing to take the advice and push to make their dream come true.
Do you think we should have given the Kurds part of Syria?
I don't know if I'm smart enough to speak intelligently about that, but because there's some ambiguity to that. No. And what they want, doesn't necessarily fall within the lines of Syria. It crosses lines, and now you're talking a whole nother thing.
Yeah. Like you, because we were there at the same time, we worked with the same people.
Yep.
The Kurds were great. And I was always personally pulling for them. But that one does get complicated really quick. But I also think people look at complicated situations or they're scared to make a decision and they fall on. I mean, we saw generals do this time and time again, and say, "Well, that's complicated," and I'm just a simple man. I go with this, and I go with a simple answer. And to me, the Kurds, just like for the past thousands of years, if you fight for land, and you shed your blood on it, it's your land.
Yep.
And I think the Kurds deserve that, and it's up to them to hold that land.
Distill it down to its most simple thing. Yeah,
that's right.
Like you earned it.
You earned it. It's yours. And I felt like we did leave them wanting, maybe with almost another bad experience working with the Americans, which is tough because the ground guys, we had a great relationship with them.
Oh yeah.
If it was up to us, maybe there would have been a different outcome.
And they would have done anything for us.
They have. They did. And they did. And here we are asking them again, hey, now it's a different part of the Kurds and what we worked with. You have Turkish Kurds, you have Syrian Kurds, you have Iraqi Kurds, and they're all fall under the same Kurdish banner, but they are different at the same time. And now we're asking the Kurds again to go into Iran and help with that. And at some point, that's the problem with not supporting them after they did that to you. If I was the Iraqi Kurds, I would say, I don't know, what do we get out of it? And normally I would be kind of upset at that attitude, but I feel like the Kurds have earned that attitude.
Yep.
It's about time for them to say, well, sure, we might do this. What do we get out of it?
Yeah.
Well, how's retirement?
Fresh.
How fresh are we talking?
February 22nd was my last day in the Army.
That is fresh. We're recording this thing beginning of March.
Yeah. But I'm excited about it. It was very difficult for me to make the decision. And because, I was leaving the only thing I've ever known my entire adult life. I joined right out of high school after 9/11, or for a few years later, but I had to wait to graduate.
Yeah.
And then that's a big change, and leaving everything you've known and loved, and I did it as long as I did because of the guys,
Yeah.
Now starting completely over, trying to figure out what's next, all that, but I'm excited about it.
After 22 years, did you know it was time? What made that decision?
Yeah. Part of it was, my body. It just a lot of wear and tear, being rode hard, put up wet, and then I liked being at, group level and down.
Mm-hmm.
And it was looking like, that was no longer going to be an option for me.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'd been in my kids have been in the same place their entire life. Like I had an option to move up, but it would have required me to rip them out of everything that they've ever known. And me, as a kid growing up, I went to 10 different schools growing up. And I was like, I'm not going to make my kids go through that. So to give them stability, and Tennessee is amazing. I love it there. Like I don't ever want to leave. Yeah. And I really wanted to retire out of fifth group. I didn't want to go somewhere else and do that.
Did you do a retirement party?
I did. My wife had a big say in that. She's like, "You're doing it," but it was fun.
I'm not surprised that you said that about her having a big part in it. I did not have a retirement party, and I had this. If you really want to call it selfish mindset, that I think was wrong. and good intentions. And I said, hey, no one threw a party for me when I got here. No one's throwing a party for me when I leave. Everyone go to work. And someone told me when really later, it's kind of too late to change my mind, but I wasn't going to change my mind anyway because I'm hard-headed. And he said, he's like, you oaf. The retirement party isn't for you. It's for everyone else around you.
Yeah.
That's who it's for. It's not for you. And he's right. I took that away from other people.
And when I've heard you say that before, and like that actually influenced me. I'm like, okay, I need to do this.
I love it. Yeah. I'm glad you did it.
Yeah.
Well, Travis, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for the history of the Jeds. Thanks for telling your story. Everyone already know who you are by the time this airs because we got to get ready for a live tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
I can't wait. Travis, not so fast. Tell me a funny story.
Oh, man. Okay.
And it better not involve me.
It was originally going to, but I decided keep it nice.
Classy man.
So this one doesn't even have anything to do with the military. This is a story about two dumb brothers.
Sure. You got two sitting right here.
Yeah. So that's I hope to hear a story that's relatable. But
okay.
So my brother, he's 2 years younger than me. We've been very close our entire life. But anyway, we were kids. I think I was probably around 6, maybe 7, and we were watching a movie. I remember it to this day. The Perfect Weapon. It was about fighting. I loved anything ninjas, fighting, war, whatever, sneaky stuff.
Yeah.
So we finished watching it, and we got the bright idea to go. There was a lot of knife throwing in the movie, and so we went and got all the butter knives out of the kitchen drawer, and we were standing opposite ends of the hallway, like throwing butter knives at each other. And my mom walks in, and she gets mad, and she sends us to our room. Rightfully so. So now me and my brother are sitting in our room, which me and him shared a room. I didn't have my own room until I joined the Army.
Okay.
But we're like, man, Mom's really upset. What are we going to do to put her in a good mood? And then I was like, I got it. My mom had these big white furry house shoes, like long white hair on them. Like, we'll give Mom's house shoes a haircut. So
that'll make it better.
Yeah. So I was like, you stay here. I'll go sneak it. I snuck into my mom's room, into her closet, got her house shoes and the scissors, and snuck back into our room, shut the door. And then I had my brother like holding the hair up, and then I had the scissors and was going to cut them because I little didn't know how to use scissors.
Right.
And he kept letting go of the hair right before I would cut, and I got mad at him. I was like, "Stop letting go! I'm not gonna cut you." And I was like, "Watch." So I was like, I handed him the scissors,
right,
and then I'm holding the hair, and he goes first snip, and then cuts off the tip of my finger. There's blood and white fur everywhere. I grab a sweater and wrap my hand in it, like blood and fur, and I go lock myself in the bathroom, and then my mom finds out about it, and she's beating on the door. She's like, Travis, let me in right now. I was like, no, Mom, not letting you in, like holding it under the sink.
Right.
Because I knew she doesn't respond well to the sight of blood.
Okay.
And she's like, you better let me in. I'm going to kick this door down. And I was like, fine. And I opened it up. She walks in and takes a deep breath. And then she's like, I'll be right back. And she goes out, breathes a minute. I don't know what happens. But anyway, she comes back, gets me, takes me to the hospital. And then she's passing me off to the doctors. And then they're like, she was like, you got him? And they're like, yeah, we got him. Are you sure you got him? And they're like, yeah, we got him. And then she passes out and hits the floor.
I could only imagine you tried to eventually explain that to your mom, that she had to look at it as like, were they trying to get back at me for that's got to be what it looks like. Like you got in trouble, you sneak out to terrorize her slippers, and in your young boy mind, no, this was for you, Mom.
Yeah,
how is this for me?
I think it was the same time Edward Scissorhands came out too. So it was like
No, they started out throwing knives. They were going to the hospital that night. Either way,
You're going to the hospital that night regardless. You just found a new way to do it.
Yeah.
And in fact, while you're talking about that, as far as like sneaking out, doing that to your mom's shoes and then going to the bathroom, I actually thought about that was his real first introduction to surprise kill Vanish.
Yeah, there you go. I tried to vanish. He wouldn't let me.
You tried to vanish. We'll work on your Vanish. Well, we'll really needed to work on all three phases of that. But
She was definitely surprised.
You got it eventually. You got the mistakes out of the way early.
Yeah.
That says that actually checks out.
Yeah.
That checks out. Thank you, Travis. Let's
Thanks
go to
for
the
having
garage. Let's go to the garage, smoke some cigars.
Hell yeah.